Hey, Unbound Runs, how are you doing? It's good to be here with you right at the beginning of the year, 2019. Just had to think what year it was. It's good to be connecting with you. And today I'm talking about how to write the book, a book that has the most magical impact on both your life and your business in 2019. And I wanted to talk about this today because I know many of the women in my community, in the Unbound community, are thinking about writing a book, have been feeling the call to write a book, maybe even in the process of writing a book right now. Maybe it's one of your intentions for 2019 and maybe you've already started. But I want to talk about some really specific ways that you can make sure that that book is truly the most magical book, that it truly does have the most profound impact on both your life and your business if you have one. Because there's a difference between just writing any book and, pretty much any of us could sit down and, force some kind of book out of us. We could write something and, get it done and get it out there. Just through pure willpower, that would be possible. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you've got a range of experience, a range of gifts and talents that you could be writing about. So, any of us could write a book, but what I'm really interested in is helping women to write the book that really wants to come through at this current time, at this time. And that's really about tapping into the magic that wants to come through you, like the true essence of what it is that wants to be part of the book that you're feeling called to write at the moment. And when we allow ourselves to do that, and I'm going to be talking about some specific ways we can really tap into that magic. When we allow ourselves to do that, what happens is that we create the impact that the book ends up having, and not just when it's released into the world, but throughout the writing of the book. The impact that it has is it's more profound and more magical than we can even have imagined or have planned for. So if we do something like in this really kind of strategic and logical way, we can achieve incredible results. But if we create space for this magic, then the results that we experience, both for ourselves and for the readers of our book, are deeper and more profound than we could have ever have planned for. We tend to kind of limit ourselves when we're coming from this place of logic and planning, because we kind of tap in to all of this kind of past conditioning and these, any limiting beliefs or stories that we've picked up along the way. We will do that either consciously or unconsciously, and we will write from that place. So what I want to do is to give you some ways today that you can move beyond that old conditioning, the old lessons that we've learned about ourselves and what's possible for us, and really be writing from this magical place. So if you are interested in hearing more about that, then let's dive in. So, magic is really key. I talk about magic a lot in my in my work, and particularly around writing. And the reason I do is that for many of us, and I know it will be the same for you as well. Like I said, I'm sure you have a range of experience, a range of gifts. You've learned different skills and different modalities. But at the end of the day, what you are bringing forward into this world, your unique gift is is actually quite magical, and there's kind of no accounting for it. Like you've developed this range of experience and learned different things throughout your life, but the unique essence of you, and your unbound self, it has this magical quality to it. And the way you work with your clients, or however you share your gifts, there will be this magical quality to it, which can be quite tricky sometimes, in terms of writing about it and finding words for it. But there are ways to kind of really harness your magic and to distill that onto the page so that your readers are able to receive it. And what happens when we are able to do that is we create a deeper sense of connection with our readers, okay, and also with ourselves throughout the writing process. So, this is the really beautiful thing. Obviously, we're writing our book because we want to share our message, we want to share our magic, we want to share our medicine with a wider range of people, with a new audience of people, and also of our existing audience. So we create a deeper connection with them, but we also create, throughout the writing process, this kind of gorgeous sense of deep connection with ourselves and different aspects of ourselves. Okay. And when we're writing from this place, what it does is that it really elevates what we're sharing. It elevates it, amplifies it, it enriches it. So, everything that we are writing, everything that is going into our book, the energy that is going into our book has this potency, which is deeply, deeply compelling to our audience, to the readers who we want to receive it. Okay, so what are the keys to kind of harnessing this magic and writing a book that allows you to have the most magical impact on your life and your business? Well, the first thing is to recognize that really there is no distinction between your life and your business. We do obviously want to have boundaries in place, but I think kind of the days of just saying, okay, well, this is my business and it's quite separate from everything else in my life, and this is my life and it's quite separate from my work, those are kind of, they're past. What we want to do is, yes, like I said, we don't want to be unboundaried, but we want to kind of acknowledge that our work encompasses all of us, including all the different aspects of our lives. And we want to bring that into our writing. So this may mean kind of breaking down some of the ideas, or dissolving some of the ideas that you've had about, okay, well, if I'm going to be writing something about my work and my message and what I do and what I want to share with people, then I have to keep everything else separate. I have to keep other areas of my life separate. I think there's real power, and actually probably the most powerful thing you can do is to share your story and really be sharing deeply from your own perspective. So like I said, this means kind of moving beyond maybe some of the old ideas about, what will be approved of in terms of what you're sharing, what is acceptable, and to really dive into the full range of your experience. So just being kind of open and curious about the place that you are writing from, and it doesn't have to be this kind of really defined, sorry, I'm just kind of making my own defined little shape, this own like really narrow and defined space of what kind of traditionally your work has been. People want to know about you, they want to know about the full range of your experience. And I know from speaking with so many women over the years who are like doing incredible work, have incredible gifts and incredible messages to share. The most compelling thing is when they start to relate this to their own personal story. And you know, even reading my own writing, I find it more interesting. You know, you can write it from this pure place of, okay, this is related to my work and what I want to share. But when we tie that into our own personal stories, that's when it becomes really magical. And again, it creates this sense of deeper connection with our readers. Okay. What you also want to do in terms of writing a book that has the most magical impact is to recognize that the perfect time to do it is always now. So this is something that I see getting in the way of women sharing their magic with the world and sharing their medicine with the world. It's this idea that maybe it's not the right time. Maybe I need to prioritize something else. Maybe there's a more sensible idea that I could be working on. Maybe it's going to take up too much time. If you are feeling the call to write a book, and what I mean by that is, you know, if you can feel it in your body, if you feel this physical sense that there is something that is wanting to come through you, if you've been feeling this call, like sometimes women have been feeling this call since they were a little girl. I know I certainly felt the call to be a writer and to write books from when I was very, very young, and I didn't listen to it for, you know, the majority of my life. I used to write when I was very young, but then I only started again when I began my business about 10 years ago, but only in terms of blogging, which was fine. And it gave me a creative outlet. But I only made the decision to write my first book. It's about 3 years ago now. It's like I only gave myself permission to write my first book then. And it was just because this calling really became overwhelming at the time. The signs were just coming in left, right, and center, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. But if you've been feeling that call, then this is the time to write your book. And I would urge you not to put it off any longer, because once we make that commitment to writing and sharing our magic through the form of a book, all sorts of other things start to unfold and fall into place. So any desire that you have, any calling that you have, and you can tell, you know, if it's been there for a while, this isn't happening by accident. It's not just some random kind of thought that's popped into your head. You know, like I said, so many of the women that I speak to, it's like this physical feeling in their body, this physical sensation of something that wants to come through. Then if you have been experiencing this, then you're not fooling yourself, you're not kidding yourself. And there may be thoughts coming up like, oh, who am I to do this? And who would want to read what I have to share? You know, have I got anything important that I could write about anyway? You know, all of that is kind of a given. That is going to happen. Yeah, it certainly happened for me with both of my books, Heal Your Inner Good Girl and Unbound. I went through times of thinking, oh my goodness, what is this? What am I writing about? Will anyone want to read it? Who am I to do this? You know, that happens. It's part of the process, but please don't let that stop you from connecting with your magic and writing it and sharing it in a book. So, you know, part of one of the keys to actually writing a book that has the biggest impact is to acknowledge that this desire that you've been experiencing, this calling that you've been experiencing, it's valid. It's there for a reason. So please listen to it, because it will keep coming back. It won't leave you alone. So you may as well make that commitment and write your book now. And when you make that commitment, when you commit to writing your book, it activates this sense of deep, deep magic, and things start to unfold in this quite miraculous way. So you might be in this place where you're like, I'm not sure what I would write about, and like I said, all of these questions and doubts going on about who am I to think that I could write a book, who would want to read it anyway. Yeah, all of that's going on. Once you make the commitment, once you make a clear and strong commitment to write your book, what happens is you create like this container, this alchemical container within which your book can start to take form. And it really can't start to take form until you make that strong and clear commitment. If you've just been kind of playing at it and going, well, maybe I'll write a book. Maybe I'll write a book this year. I don't know. I'll see if it happens. It's not going to happen until you make the commitment. So making this clear commitment is like really, really vital when it comes to writing a book that is going to have the most magical impact in your life and your business. Because like I said, once you do that, it creates this really beautiful container within which your book can start to take form. I'm not kind of suggesting that this is going to be necessarily an easy process. There can be a lot of ease within the process, but what I'm going to be talking about a bit more during this session today is that, yeah, there can be challenges, and actually part of the process of writing a magical book, a transformational book, is that it is inherently challenging. But when you've made that really strong and clear commitment at the beginning, then it allows your book to take form. So what happens is that you start to kind of get ideas that can feed into your book, or you connect with people who can help you with your writing or inspire you in your writing, or you have conversations with somebody and it's like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I want to be writing about. You know, all of these things start to happen once you make this really clear commitment. So like I said, that is a vital stage in writing the book that you're really here to write this magical book. The next thing that is really key is to, you know, I alluded to this a bit already, but it's really to be moving out of our kind of headspace, this kind of busy place, our busy minds, where we're trying to plan everything out and be really strategic and logical. What we want to be doing is moving out of the head and into the body, because when we are operating from this head place, we move out of our magic. Okay, we move into a place of, okay, well, what do people expect from me? What will other people like if I'm going to write about it? You know, what should I write about? We go into all of those shoulds and expectations and obligations, and, you know, this place of trying to figure it out, which is not at all powerful. Okay, so whenever you are coming to your writing, you want to kind of really consciously and intentionally move down and away out of your head, kind of create space for yourself, and into the inherent wisdom of your body. So all of your past experience is held kind of energetically within your body. And when we come down out of the headspace and into our physical self, we access all of that past experience, all of that wisdom. Okay, and we bypass any of the shoulds or obligations or expectations that can happen when we move up into the mind. So just simply, like as you sit down to write, or when you're kind of thinking about what you want to be writing about, a simple process of just going, okay, I'm just dropping into my body. You can choose to drop into your womb space, your creative center. You might choose to drop into your heart, wherever you choose to. Just like dropping your attention into your body will help to move you beyond that kind of limited place that we can be in when we are trying to figure it out, because then we get into all of the shoulds, which are inherently limiting. So really allow yourself to connect with the wisdom of your body and trust what comes from that place as well. You know, you can ask the question, you know, what do I want to be writing about right now? As you are kind of connected with your body, tuning into your body, and just notice what comes forward for you. So sometimes you might do that, you know, kind of sitting or lying, kind of in meditation maybe. You may do it like simply when you sit down at your desk or wherever you're going to write. Very often I do this by going out for a walk before I write. So if I know that I want to be doing some writing, I will go out for a walk beforehand, and that sense of movement helps me to feel more connected with my body. Okay, so that can be really powerful. It's like tuning into what feels like a good process for you, and that may change from day to day. So it's just like feeling into, okay, well, what would feel good for me today? Do I want to be spending a little bit of time in meditation? Do I want to be going out for a walk? Or, you know, can I simply just kind of tap in to the wisdom of my body just by intending to do that? Okay, it'll be different at different times. Perfect. Okay. So, key one is to really make that commitment and to listen to that desire, that calling that has been there, and to acknowledge that that is 100% valid. It's there for a reason. So please do listen to it, and to make that commitment. And 2 is to move out of the place of trying to figure it out, move out of your head and into your body. 3, which is part of this, is to harness the power of your cyclical nature. So this is one of the 5 principles of living unbound, and it absolutely applies to writing as well, and writing in the most magical way. We're kind of taught when we're growing up and when we go to school, and very often when we're taught about writing, if you've had any kind of training or read anything or done any courses around writing, there can be this idea that we just have to show up. We should show up at our desks every day and write regardless of how we're feeling, or regardless of whether inspiration is coming through. And there is some value in that, absolutely, certainly, in having a sense of kind of discipline and structure around our writing. But also as a woman, and particularly as an unbound woman, you want to be harnessing, acknowledging and harnessing the power of your cyclical nature. So, you know, your energy will ebb and flow according to the many different cycles that impact on you in your life. And this could be your own individual menstrual cycle, could be the moon cycle, the cycle of the seasons, you know, the stage that you are in your life right now, like the cycle of your life, all of these things, and your own creative cycle, you know, all of these things have their own cycle, and your energy and your creative energy will ebb and flow according to where you are in relation to those cycles. So if you're just trying to show up and write in the same way, regardless of that ebb and flow, then you're going to find it really, really challenging, and it's going to feel forced, and like you're really going to have to kind of push in order to tap into what you want to bring forward. Whereas when you start to notice those times when you are really feeling more like writing, when you're feeling really in that creative place, or the times when you're feeling more like kind of planning what you want to write, or the times when you're feeling more like you are really in editing mode, when you start to notice those and allow yourself to do those different activities when it is feeling aligned with your cyclical nature, that is going to be so much more powerful. And whatever you write from that place, or whatever you plan to write from that place, or, you know, however you edit your work from that place, is going to be so much more powerful than if you just kind of try and show up in this really rigidly consistent way, day in, day out. Sometimes you need to give yourself permission not to do in order to be able to do in the most powerful way. But the thing is, we've kind of been taught that we should feel kind of consistent, and that we should be able to be in this place of taking action day in, day out, when the truth is that no, we are cyclical beings. So you want to work in alignment with your cyclical nature. And this is something that we dive into very deeply in the Unbound Writing Mastermind. I really encourage the women there. And most of the women that I work with already have some awareness of this and have already explored it to some degree. But I really encourage throughout the process that you kind of get to know your creative cycle, your creative ebbs and flows much more deeply, and to trust those ebbs and flows, allow yourself to go with them, and to notice how what comes from that place is much more magical than if you just try and push through regardless. So that is key number 3, is to really kind of honor and harness the power of your cyclical nature. And following on from this, actually, key number 4, and this is really vital, is to allow yourself to be in the place of unknowing and uncertainty when that arises. So this can be right at the beginning of the process, when you're just feeling this calling to write a book, but you're really not sure exactly what it's going to be about. So it's like, oh, I'm not quite sure, I don't know, so I can't start. I'm just going to do something else that I do know, or that I am sure of. No, if we can allow ourselves to actually be with that feeling of unknowing, it's incredibly powerful. So like I said, it might happen at the beginning of your writing process. It will most likely happen at least once throughout the writing process. There will be times that it's like, no, I'm not quite sure how to take this forward now. I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to be writing about, or whether what I've written already is actually of any value. And when we get into that place of like, oh, unknowing, uncertainty, it can feel deeply uncomfortable. And the tendency is to kind of even rush through it and think, I'm going to force myself to know. I'm going to make myself know. Or we can just kind of leave the process altogether. It's like, there can be this tendency to think, well, this can't be right. If I don't know, if I'm uncertain, then maybe I'm not in alignment. Whereas actually, this is a natural part of the creative cycle, the creative process. We need to allow ourselves to be in these times of unknowing, which can feel deeply uncomfortable. But what is happening at those times is there's always so much going on under the surface, out of our awareness, very often completely out of our awareness. And if we either rush through the unknowing and try and force ourselves to know by figuring it out, or we move away, we move out of the process, we don't allow what's going on under the surface to kind of fully take place. Okay, so we miss out on the magic that comes from that. And always, and sometimes this can happen relatively quickly, sometimes it takes a longer amount of time. But when you allow yourself to be in the unknowing, something alchemical takes place. This alchemy takes place where that unknowing, that uncertainty, that discomfort is transmuted into absolute gold. And the clarity and the inspiration and the creativity that comes after that, through allowing yourself to be in that place of unknowing without rushing, without trying to move away from it, just allowing yourself to be in that, can be a deeply uncomfortable place, actually leads to the most powerful work that you are likely to do. And, you know, I've experienced this personally. When I was writing Unbound, my second book in particular, this happened because it was unbound and I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to take form. You know, for much of the process, I was in this place of unknowing, and I was just writing bits and pieces and thinking, I don't even think this is ever going to make sense or ever going to come together. And I would have times where I didn't want to write at all. It felt like nothing was coming through. But because I'd made this really strong and clear commitment to writing my book, I was working with an incredibly supportive mentor at the time, I was able to sit in that place of unknowing. And what manifested from that in the end, and, you know, it did take a number of months really to come through this process. There were spurts when it's like, yes, okay, I know I'm writing. And then there would be these lengthy times when I was very uncertain. But what came from that place was incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I know it wouldn't have been so powerful in terms of what I created if I'd tried to rush through these phases of unknowing. And I've experienced the same working with authors and writers in the Unbound Writing Mastermind. You know, I think each one of them have experienced this at times. And I was speaking to someone this morning who is part of the 2019 round of the Mastermind. She's just coming into the process, and there is always these times when, yeah, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Why did I even think I could write a book in the first place? There's nothing coming through. Maybe this is not, you know, what I'm meant to be doing. And actually, that's the power of having this, you know, support around you. Allows you, helps you to be in that place of unknowing, which can feel so uncomfortable and unfamiliar. So, you know, if you're finding yourself in that place at the moment, or you have found yourself in the place of uncertainty and unknowing in the past, and certainly if you find yourself in that place in the future, then, you know that that is part of the process. And once you acknowledge that that is part of the process and allow yourself to be there, that can help it to feel more comfortable, knowing it's part of the process. But that is what helps you to access your deep magic, which wouldn't be able to come to the surface if you just kind of stayed in this place of continual action and continual writing, okay, and trying to figure it out. The fifth kind of key that I want to talk about is really to allow your writing to be a transformational process. So, you know, if you're watching this, it's likely that your writing, whatever form it takes, there will be an intention from you for it to create some kind of transformation in your readers. You want it to have an impact on your readers. It's not just a sharing of information, it's there to create this sense of change and transformation. In order to do that, in order for your work to have the most powerful impact on your readers, you need to experience that sense of transformation throughout the writing process, okay? Or you need to be open to experiencing that transformation throughout the writing process. So, like I said at the beginning, we could all sit down and write some kind of book. And probably relatively quickly as well, just kind of writing down our experience and maybe different kind of techniques and like systems and skills that we've learned, just writing about that purely from a kind of content and information point of view. And there would absolutely be some value in that. That could be helpful at one level. Like I said, because you're watching this, I know that you will want to be creating something deeper. And in order to create something deeper and for it to have that deeper, more magical impact, you want to be, or you need to allow yourself to be transformed by the process. So what it means is that your writing becomes this dynamic process where it's not just you imparting information onto the page, but you are allowing yourself to be transformed. What I mean by that is you're allowing yourself to access different aspects of yourself, different aspects of your experience, maybe that you haven't really acknowledged before throughout the writing process. Okay, so it becomes this alchemical process where you acknowledge and allow parts of you that maybe in the past you've kind of pushed into the shadows. It becomes this process of shadow integration, which again is one of the 5 principles of living unbound, which absolutely applies to writing, is the alchemy of shadow integration. So throughout our writing, whatever you're writing about, you're allowing yourself to kind of explore new territories within yourself and your experience, or seeing them in a different way that creates this sense of transformation for yourself. And what you do when you do that is that you create space for your readers to experience the same levels or deeper levels of transformation as they receive your work. So again, this can be uncomfortable. I told you this wasn't going to be easy. And it's not, it's like we want to be inviting that challenge and discomfort into the process, because that is what makes it more powerful for ourselves. Because this means that throughout the writing process you're not waiting until the book is written and out in the world for it to have an impact. It's impacting on you right from the beginning of the writing process. That magic is kind of seeping out into your life and your business, if you have one, along the way, because you are being transformed. You are becoming more of yourself. You are stepping more fully into your experience. And the energy of that comes through in your writing. Even before it reaches your readers, they will be able to sense that within you. And you will become more compelling to the people who want to hear your message. So, something that's often spoken about is like the vulnerability, that sense of vulnerability that comes when we're sharing ourselves, we're sharing our work, we're sharing our stories. And again, this is something that comes up a lot with the women that I work with the writers that I work with. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can share this. And very often when we do share parts of our writing, there is this sense of vulnerability afterwards. But actually, that's a really powerful thing, to allow yourself to experience that vulnerability, because what it does is it mirrors the depth of emotion that your reader is able to experience when they read what you've written, when they read your book. Your transformation, your ability, your openness to experience this sense of vulnerability or fear or doubt or whatever it is that's coming up for you in the writing and the sharing of your writing. Your openness to doing that actually creates space for your reader to experience that transformational emotion for themselves. Okay, so it's like you have to go first. You volunteer to go first to experience the transformation, and in doing that, you kind of carve the way for your reader to experience the same. And that is what creates real magic. Okay, so if you know that, again, like I said, it can be deeply, deeply uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm really selling this to you. I'm sure because you are an unbound woman, you will get this. So it can be challenging and uncomfortable. But when you know the power of it, and you understand that in doing this, in allowing this transformation in yourself, and allowing these emotions to come forward and to allowing yourself to experience them, you are creating space for other people to be more deeply impacted by your work, then that, you know, that can make it easier for you to experience that discomfort. So really what I'm talking about here is, you know, it's a heroine's journey. I always talk about how walking the unbound path is a heroine's journey, and really writing in this unbound way. Writing in this unbound way is a heroine's journey. It takes real courage and bravery, because we're not just coming from this kind of trying to figure it out logical place. We're really aiming to diffuse our unique magic, our unique medicine onto the page. And when we do that, the effects can be more than we ever imagined. You know, just an example of this, through me kind of trusting this process for myself, and certainly through the writing of my second book, Unbound, I didn't really know, like throughout that process, I didn't really know where it would lead me. But actually, you know, since that book has been released, the amount of clarity that I've received since then has been, you know, something I've never experienced before. And also it led to the opportunity for me to launch the Unbound Press, my publishing imprint for unbound women. You know, that's not something that I'd planned. It wasn't something strategically that I thought, okay, I would like to launch a publishing imprint. But it's like by allowing myself to write in this magical way, this book that came through me, Unbound, was able to birth this publishing imprint. And now I'm helping other women to write their books, both through the Unbound Press, and also, you know, this has led to the Unbound Writing Mastermind, which is this group experience, which supports women to write the book they're really here to write. So, you know, these are the kind of things, and it will be different, obviously, for everyone, but this is the kind of magic that can happen when we allow ourselves to go on this heroine's journey. And, you know, I think the important thing to recognize is you don't have to do this alone. You know, the unbound woman thrives in sisterhood, and when we allow ourselves to come together with others, we are able to kind of be our most magical unbound selves, because we see that reflected back by all the other women around us. So, you know, if this is something that is speaking to you, like I said, I've talked very openly about the challenges of this. I'm not about kind of providing like a easy step-by-step system. I'm really about holding the women that I work with in the most magical and alchemical space, so that they can experience this sense of deep creativity, connection, transformation, and, you know, be as potent as they can possibly be, and write in the most potent way. That's what I'm about. And if that speaks to you, I want to let you know that the doors to the 2019 round of the Unbound Writing Mastermind are now open. We start on January the 14th, for the week commencing January the 14th. So towards the middle of this month. And, you know, the Unbound Writing Mastermind is a 6 month. We don't do it in 6 weeks. It's a 6 month process, which is designed to support you as you connect with and create the book that you're really here to write at this time, the book that has been calling to you, the book that has been wanting to come through you. So, you know, you're supported to do that throughout the process. But also, as you're writing the book, I'm a big believer in kind of building and growing your audience of readers as you write your book, rather than waiting until it is written. So I help you to build and grow your audience as you are writing your book, so that once it's released, you have this this audience, this community of eager people, eager readers who are just waiting to read your book. So that is a really important part of the process as well. And obviously that sense of community and sisterhood, which is so deeply supportive. You're supported by myself throughout the process, but also the other members of the mastermind, and the women who have joined already are absolutely incredible, like really deeply magical. So I know whoever steps forward to be part of this process is it's going to be absolutely perfect. You're going to experience deep transformation and magic through being part of it. So if this is speaking to you, you can see all the details of the mastermind over at nicolahumbert.com/the-unbound-writing-mastermind. I'll put the link below this video when I finish so that you can see it. Go and check out the details. Like I said, it's a 6-month process. There's a pay in full option, but also there's a payment plan if that's easier for you. And for the next 4 women who join, as I'm sharing this right now, you will receive a bonus free Writer's Breakthrough Tarot reading with the deeply magical Leah Kent, who, that reading is just incredible. I know the women who are in the current round of the mastermind who received that have found that incredibly beneficial and something to come back to time and time again. So that is something that the next 4 women to join will receive. If you've got any questions about it, either message me or comment below this video. And if you've got any questions about what I've shared there, then please do get in touch. I would love to hear them and answer them for you. And like I said at the beginning, if you have been feeling the call to write a book, whether you choose to do that through the Unbound Writing Mastermind, or you choose to do that in some other way, then please do. Like I said, that calling, that desire is there for a reason. And I truly believe that we need more unbound women to be sharing their magic, to be sharing their stories, their medicine with the world at this time. So the time for holding back has passed. Please share your magic. Okay, my love, I will see you again soon. Bye.